Here's the second part of my cells project, and it's about cells and organelles. So we are going to begin with the cell theory, and it is that cells are the basic unit of life. So basically you have something that lives, and the smallest thing that, what builds it up are cells. So you have the systems which are made up of organs, which are made of tissues, which are made of cells. And as you can see, cells are the basic unit, or the simplest unit. All cells come from other cells, so a cell won't come from nowhere. It always comes from another cell, so they have to multiply in order to form tissue. Then all living things are made of cells, and plants, animals, bacteria, they are all made of cells. And viruses though are an exception. Even though they are alive, in quotes, they're not considered to be cells, because even though they have a generic material, they're not made of cells. So yeah, they have generic material, they reproduce, but they're not made of cells. Here is one kind of cell. There is eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. Right here I have a model of a eukaryotic cell, and it's a very basic cell. It usually makes up bacteria, and as you can see, there's the nucleus area, there are the ribosomes, the cytoplasm, which is the liquid, there is the cell membrane, there's a cell wall, and there's a capsule. And I'll talk about those soon. Here is a prokaryotic cell, and this is a hybrid between a animal cell and a plant cell, which doesn't really exist, but it's easier to show everything at once, even though it's not accurate. And the prokaryotic cell has a nucleus, a membrane for the nucleus. There's the endoplasmic reticulum. There's the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which is dotted with ribosomes, and there is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. By the way, these are the ribosomes. There are these yellowish blocks. There are the chloroplasts, the mitochondrium. There's the Golgi apparatus, and there's a vacuole, and there's the lysosome. The lysosome can only be found in animal cells, so that is why this might not be accurate. It's because of that lysosome. But if it wasn't there, it could be considered a plant cell. And now I'll be talking about the organelle's functions. If I didn't tell you already, the organelles are the different parts which I just talked about, and each one is responsible for a function, and I'll talk about them right now. First, there's the cell membrane. The cell membrane protects the cell and allows the passage of nutrients through it. So to begin with, there's the eukaryotic cell, and you can see it has 3 layers of protection. There's a capsule, cell wall, and cell membrane. So it's very protected. I'll place some dynamite over here. And there's the prokaryotic cell, which has no more than two layers of protection, and that is the cell membrane, and there is a cell wall, which is only present in plant cells. So to show you how strong the eukaryotic cell is, I will ignite this TNT. By strong, I mean resistant. So it can resist to a lot of damage. As you can see, it's basically intact, but it did destroy the glass, which is just a cover and doesn't really make part of the cell. So you can ignore that. Over here though is the prokaryotic cell, which doesn't have as much protection. So if I ignite this dynamite, the cell is going to die. As you can see, water or the cytoplasm just gets out of the cell, and you can see it's dead and it cannot repair itself. So once any damage is caused to it, it's dead. It only relies on the protection of the cell membrane and cell wall. And now I'm going to be talking about the nucleus. So you can see that the eukaryotic cell is spread out throughout the middle of the cell, and it contains the DNA or the genetic material. And over here there is the nucleus, the prokaryotic cell, and it is contained in a membrane. So you can see it's not spread out like the prokaryotic cell, but it has the same functions. It still has the DNA and the genetic material. And to show you how it works, I have over here this this model of the signal that the nucleus sends. And the signal can also be called RNA, but I won't get in details with that. So what it does is it sends these signals, as you can see. So it commands the ribosome by these signals. And over here we have the ribosome, and as you can see, the nucleus is sending the signals to the ribosome, which is in turn producing fiber or protein. Yeah, it's not fiber, protein. So it produces the protein. As you can see, it keeps on producing it, and then this protein gets to the endoplasmic reticulum, which is, by the way, the ribosomes are spread out throughout the cell, so you can see. And there's a endoplasmic reticulum, and what it does, it helps to transport the resources throughout the whole cell. So in this case, it will be transporting the protein. As you can see, it is taking the protein throughout this whole way, and from there it goes up here and over to the Golgi apparatus. It doesn't only transport the protein to the Golgi apparatus, but throughout the whole cell. But for demonstration purposes, I'll show you what happens when the protein gets to the Golgi apparatus. So the Golgi apparatus is set near the nucleus and near the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it receives these proteins, and these proteins can be packed up and sent outside the cell. So right now I have the protein laid out over here, and I will show you how it gets packed up. So as you can see, there are these blocks, and they are bricks. So these bricks are going to cover this whole protein, and it's going to be packed up to be sent outside the cell. But if it's not packed up, then it cannot be sent outside the cell. So by packing it up, it makes sure that it's safe to go outside the cell. So as you can see, it's almost done. I don't think that it would take this long in real life, but as you can see, it's done. It's ready to be sent out to the outside, and yeah, as you can see, it's already being sent out, and that's what the Golgi apparatus does. Over here there's the lysosome, and what it does is it takes worn out cells, or I meant to say organelles. So it takes worn out organelles and wastes that the organelles produce, and it breaks them down, or more precisely, they digest them. But they were also nicknamed suicide bags, because in the process of digesting the wastes, it also destroys itself. So as you can see, I have these fibers which are all wastes. So what the lysosome is going to do, it's going to break all of them down, and the way I'm going to show this is by igniting a lot of dynamite and dropping it onto the fibers. So as you can see, it's all dropped down and it all exploded, and the lysosome has gone with it. So yeah, that shows how it just destroys itself and digests the wastes. And just for a quick look, you can see how the fiber is packed up. And moving on from the Golgi apparatus and the lysosome, we have the mitochondrium. Yeah, I forgot to mention that the lysosome is sort of like placed over here. There's as I was saying, there's the mitochondrium, which are long and narrow organelles. So right here, I didn't really make a long and narrow organelle, just for demonstration purposes. And what it does is it has this process called respiration, which is when the cell takes glucose, which is a source of energy, as I talked about in the previous video, and it takes oxygen to make energy. So as you can see, there's the oxygen set out over here, and there's the glucose. They're going to be pushed into the cell, into the mitochondrium. I didn't mean to say cell, so excuse me for that. And they're going to produce the energy, as you can see. Wait a second. Just a moment. So, as I was saying, it produces energy and water and CO2. So this block is representing CO2 and this one is representing water. So one more time so you can see how it works. I push the glucose and oxygen into the mitochondrium. It pops out energy, and as you have seen before, it can be used as fuel. And H2O, or water, and carbon dioxide is produced from it. So that's what respiration does. Over here we have the chloroplasts, which are present in plant cells. Now, it wouldn't be right to say that they're only present in plant cells, because there are a few exceptions to it. There are like these sea slugs, which were found recently, and they're animals, and they have chloroplasts in them. So yeah, apart from that, none of the animal cells have chloroplasts. So over here we have the reverse process. The chloroplast uses energy from the sun, and it takes in carbon dioxide and water to make oxygen and glucose, which can then be used into the mitochondrium to gain energy from it. So the plant cells produce their own food, so they don't need to eat anything in order to get their own food, unlike animals which need to do that. So once again, it pushes water and CO2 into the chloroplast and produces oxygen and glucose. Now, to end this video off, we have the vacuole, and it's very simple. What it does is it stores resources, or most likely anything, in them. So yeah, they just store resources in them, and that's the end for the second part. The next part is going to be about transport, and I'm off.